The wreckage drifted in slow, silent arcs through the void, illuminated by the dying shimmer of a ruptured star core. Panels from research vessels, now twisted, half melted, and carved open with surgical precision, floated like the scattered bones of something once alive. The convoy had vanished so quickly that even their distress call had been swallowed before escape signals could register. Only one thing remained intact, a hull fragment from the lead ship, scorched black, etched with a message cut deep by plasma. Know your place. Captain Ryland Creed stared at the fragment as it rotated on the tactical display inside the Terran Union briefing hall. The room was silent except for the low hum of hollow projectors. Officers circled the table, eyes grim. Creed's gaze didn't move. He'd seen enough battlefields to know when violence was deliberate, personal. Admiral Serene exhaled sharply. This is a Vorlak's signature. No one argued. The precision, the arrogance, the message, they all pointed to one source. Creed folded his arms. What was the convoy carrying? Xenoarchaeology team. 5 scientists. They were returning from a dig near the Aurelius Expanse. Their research wasn't classified, but the Vorlaks clearly believed otherwise. Creed's jaw tightened. He had known one of the scientists, Dr. Lysander, a brilliant analyst who'd once told him that knowledge was humanity's strongest weapon. Seeing her ship reduced to debris felt like a punched-out breath. Were there life signs? He asked, though he already feared the answer. No, Serene said. But there was this. She activated a recording. Static filled the air, thick and choked. Then a voice, fragile, strained, almost too faint to understand, whispered. Don't let them finish, run. Creed, if you hear this, they're building. The message cut out in a crackle. Creed's spine went rigid. Dr. Ander had spoken his name. She was alive when this transmitted. Maybe still alive now. What are they building? An intelligence officer asked. That's what we need you to find out, Serene said, turning toward Creed. The Council has chosen you to lead the response. You'll take the Valor's Edge into the Expanse, assess the scale of the threat, recover survivors if possible, and determine the Vorlak's objective. This is a direct provocation, another officer muttered. They want us rattled. They succeeded, Serene said. But we won't stumble blind. Creed straightened. When do we depart? Immediately. The Valor's Edge is already prepped. Your crew is assembled. He allowed himself one final look at the drifting hull fragment. The Vorlaks carved their message with the assumption humans would bend. That assumption had cost empires before, though the Vorlaks seemed to have forgotten history's warnings. Creed didn't remind them. He simply nodded and left the room. The Valor's Edge hung in orbit like a spear forged from obsidian, engines glowing faint blue. Its hull bore the scars of past encounters, but its systems were the fastest in the Terran fleets. Stepping aboard the command deck felt like stepping into the heart of a storm. Captain on deck? The XO, Commander Hanavas, called out. Creed waved the formality aside. Status? All systems green. Long-range scanners are tracking faint disturbances in the Expanse. Could be gravitational wakes from heavy ships. Vorlaks? Creed asked. Nothing else moves like that. Creed settled into the command chair. The crew's eyes followed him, not out of fear, but expectation. They trusted him to bring them back. He trusted them to do the impossible. Helm, Creed said. Set course for the Aurelius Expanse. Full burn. Aye, Captain. The engines ignited, pushing them into the sea of stars. Hours into the journey, tension thickened. Space grew darker, almost dense, as they crossed into the Expanse's perimeter. A web of ion storms flickered in distant arcs, lighting the region like fractured lightning trapped in space. Voss studied the tactical readout. Probes aren't responding. Something's jamming their signals. That's intentional, Creed said. They know we're coming. The comms officer's console beeped. Captain. I'm picking up something faint. Not a standard transmission. It's bouncing off debris fields. Put it through. A thin, trembling whisper filled the bridge. Creed, don't come here, They're burning stars. Son! Son! The message collapsed into a sharp whine and vanished. Creed leaned forward. Enhance the last waveform. It's heavily damaged, Captain? But one phrase repeated through the interference. Which? They're burning stars. Voss stiffened. That's impossible. No, Creed said softly. It means they're experimenting with stellar energy. The bridge fell silent as the implication sank in. Star-level power meant annihilation on a scale no species could ignore. Even rumors of such research were enough to destabilize entire sectors. The Vorlax weren't threatening humanity. They were preparing to reshape the galaxy. Find the origin of that transmission, Creed ordered. Triangulating now. As the crew worked, a sudden vibration rippled through the ship. Not physical, spatial. Impact wave detected, Voss said, eyes widening. Something big just moved. Shields up. Weapons ready, but hold fire. Creed stood. Locate it. A red icon blinked on the display, a Vorlax recon vessel, sleek and curved like a predator's fang, sliding silently from behind an asteroid cluster. They were waiting, Voss murmured. The Vorlax ship broadcast a signal, no words, only a pulse meant to intimidate. Creed stepped closer to the main display. They know we recovered the message. They intend to warn us off. Should we retreat? A junior officer asked, voice tight. Creed shook his head. Retreat tells them we accept their boundary. We don't. The Vorlax vessel turned its bow toward them, engines blazing, preparing an intercept path. Captain? Voss asked. Hold our course, Creed said. Slow by 5%. Make it clear we're not provoking a strike, but we're not leaving. The Vorlax ship closed in. Tension crackled through the bridge like exposed wiring. Then, at the last moment, the alien vessel veered sharply and shot past them, leaving a faint distortion trail in its wake. A message appeared on the forward display. Not Terran. Vorlax glyphs. Creed translated immediately. Turn back, fragile ones. He exhaled once. Controlled. Focused. They want us scared, he said. But fear isn't our language. He turned toward the helm. Continue into the expanse. Maximum precision. No mistakes. The Valor's edge surged forward, leaving the Vorlax warning behind. But the final moment of the intercepted transmission still echoed in Creed's mind. They're burning stars. Whatever the Vorlax were building, humanity would face it soon, and the first step was crossing into the darkness ahead. Creed didn't hesitate. Helm, he said quietly. Take us deeper. The Aurelius expanse was a void of fractured light, where stars blinked like wounded eyes and gravity behaved unpredictably. Even seasoned pilots felt their instincts betray them. The Valor's edge moved cautiously, every sensor sweep a challenge. The silence of space was broken only by the hum of the engines, and the occasional alert from the scanning array. Commander Hannah Voss frowned at the tactical display. Captain, the transmission's origin is faint but consistent, deep within a Vorlax stronghold. Sensors are jammed almost completely beyond 50,000 kilometers. Creed studied the readout. They want to hide. That's fine. We're human. Hiding isn't our strong suit anyway. A low murmur of tension spread across the bridge. They all knew what was at stake. If the Vorlax had discovered a method to harness stellar energy, it wasn't just human colonies. They could target entire planets. The thought of Earth made the gravity in Creed's chest tighten. Prepare a probe, Creed ordered. Send it in stealth mode. Record everything. No interference, no exposure. I want eyes where they won't see us. Vassa's hands danced over her controls. Probe deployed. Stealth field active. It's threading the ion storms now. The view screen flickered with static and shadows. Suddenly, the probe's sensors picked up activity, ships moving with predatory grace, energy signatures far beyond anything humanity had encountered. They're running patrols, the junior officer whispered. Small craft, but lethal. Then we'll treat them as such, Creed said. No heroics, only strategy. The crew moved in synchrony, each member executing their orders with practiced precision. The Valor's Edge wasn't just a ship, it was a weapon, and its crew was a finely tuned unit of humans who knew what it meant to survive impossible odds. Hours passed as they threaded deeper into Vorlak's territory. The probe's feed revealed more than patrols. Structures loomed, massive platforms orbiting a dead star, angular and terrifying. Energy flares erupted sporadically, illuminating the skeletal metal of the station. "Creed," Boss said, voice tight. "This isn't just a stronghold. They're constructing something massive. Something at stellar scale." Creed exhaled. "Sunbreaker," he murmured, the name hitting like a physical blow. The Vorlak's superweapon of legend, a device rumored to ignite or destabilize stars at will. "They're building Sunbreaker here. And our scientists..." His jaw clenched. "They're prisoners inside it." The bridge fell silent. Every human aboard understood the stakes. Sunbreaker wasn't just destructive, it was apocalyptic. "Options?" Voss asked. Creed tapped his fingers on the armrest. "We don't run. We gather intelligence, plan extraction, and strike when they least expect it. That's how humans survive, through creativity, courage, and calculated risk." A murmur of assent ran through the crew. This was the moment that separated them from every species the Vorlaks had dominated. They would not bow. The tension snapped into immediate danger. Sensor alarms screamed as multiple Vorlaks interceptors dropped from stealth, converging on their position. The Valor's Edge shuddered under the sudden proximity of alien warships, sleek and lethal, each one a predator designed for maximum destruction. "Shields at full," Creed ordered. "Weapons on standby. Let them come close, we'll choose our moment." The Vorlaks launched a probing strike, energy bolts slicing through the void. The human shields absorbed the brunt, but the bridge jolted under the impact. "They're testing us," Voss said. "Scanning our defenses. Measuring reactions." Creed's eyes narrowed. "Good. Let them see humanity in action." The first wave of Vorlak's ships struck in coordinated arcs. The Valor's Edge responded with precision maneuvers, dodging energy bursts and returning fire with pulse cannons optimized for evasive combat. "Target their winged ships," Creed commanded. "Hit and run. Make them doubt every move." Within moments, 2 interceptors spun into debris, shredded by the human fleet's retaliation. The Vorlaks hesitated. The Valor's Edge exploited the pause, slipping past them deeper into the expanse. "Status?" Creed asked. "All clear for now," Voss replied, though her eyes never left the tactical readout. "But they're regrouping. More could be on the way." Creed nodded. "Then we make our move fast. No time to waste. The scientists are alive, and Sunbreaker can't be allowed to complete construction." The probe delivered visuals of the interior. Humans huddled in containment modules, exhausted and injured but alive. Dr. Lyssander's eyes widened when she saw the probe feed. "Creed, you came?" she whispered. Relief and fear blended in her voice. "We're getting you out," Creed said, his voice steady, reassuring. "Hold on. Humanity doesn't abandon its own." A low vibration shuddered through the hull. "They know we're here," Voss said grimly. "Deployment of orbital defense drones." Creed exhaled and leaned forward. "Then we'll make them pay for every second they underestimated us. Prepare boarding pods. We go in quietly, strike with speed, and get the crew out before they know what hit them." The plan was simple, but perilous. Vorlak's technology outclassed human engineering in raw power, yet humans were unpredictable. That unpredictability was their edge, the same trait that had allowed colonies to survive against hostile environments and alien predators. As boarding pods detached from the Valor's Edge, Creed gathered the team. "Remember," he said, looking each of them in the eye, "we do this clean. We do this fast. And above all, we do this because we're human. They think we're fragile. We're not." The pods shot into the expanse like streaks of light, weaving through the debris and evading patrols. Every second was measured, every movement precise. The first contact was brutal. A Vorlax drone detected them, firing energy beams. But humans adapted instantly, using the environment to their advantage. One pod ricocheted off an asteroid fragment, the beam overshooting and detonating against a floating mass of wreckage. "Keep moving!" Creed barked. "We don't stop until the prisoners are free." The pods veered toward the massive structure. Shadows of the Sunbreaker station loomed, colossal and menacing. Its energy cores pulsed faintly, like the heartbeat of a god-killer. Humanity had entered the lion's den, and the lion had yet to roar. Creed's eyes hardened. Whatever came next, he would not flinch. Humanity never did. "Prepare for boarding," he said. "This is where we show them what humans are made of." The pods pierced the station's outer hull. Inside, darkness waited, punctuated by distant alarms and the faint hum of alien machinery. The battle for Sunbreaker, and the lives trapped within, had begun. The Vorlax station loomed ahead like a jagged tooth against the black void. From orbit, it seemed almost inert, but the closer the boarding pods drew, the more the structure thrummed with life, a pulse of energy so vast it could destabilize planets. The Sunbreaker's superweapon. Creed's eyes narrowed. This was no longer reconnaissance. This was a race against time. "Everyone stay sharp," Creed said, voice low but firm. "The moment they see us, it's combat." The boarding pods slipped through the station's outer defenses, maneuvering past sensor arrays and turret emplacements. The first hatch opened with a hiss, and humans spilled into the corridors of alien steel. The walls were dark, jagged, alive with faint energy veins. Every footstep echoed, a reminder of the stakes. "Scanners show containment modules down the central corridor," Voss reported. "5 humans, same as the Conva manifest. All appear alive though injured." Creed nodded. "Move quietly. Keep formation. We take them out before the Vorlax even know we're inside." They advanced, pods lights cutting swaths through the darkness. The air was thick with a faint hum, almost like a heartbeat. Then, a corridor junction revealed the first obstacle, a Vorlax patrol. 3 sentries, their movements precise, weapons glowing. "Contact," Voss whispered. Creed assessed. "Split teams. Disable, don't kill if possible. Efficiency matters more than spectacle." Within seconds, humans struck. Creed himself led the charge, striking with speed, timing, and coordination that belied the odds. The Vorlax were powerful, but predictable. Their own arrogance, thinking humans would hesitate, was their downfall. The sentries were incapacitated without alarms, leaving the corridor silent again. "Path clear," Voss said. They pressed on, the metallic corridors winding toward the inner core. Each turn brought more signs of construction, enormous energy conduits feeding a massive, centralized chamber. The station's heart. And within that heart, the Sunbreaker. Creed's chest tightened. It was larger than any starship he had ever seen, a lattice of alien metal surrounding a dormant stellar core. Energy hummed along its spine, feeding coils that pulsed like veins. This was no mere weapon. It was an annihilator, capable of unmaking worlds. "Creed," Voss's voice dropped. "They're preparing it, for Earth." Creed's hands curled into fists. "Then we have no time." The sound of movement reached them, the prisoners. Containment modules lined the walls, illuminated by faint internal lighting. Dr. Lyssander's eyes widened when she saw the pods. Relief and disbelief battled across her face. "Captain, you came," she whispered, voice hoarse. "We never leave our own," Creed said. "We get you out fast. Stay close." The humans were weak, but alive. As the pods freed them, alarms blared, a piercing, mechanical scream. The Vorlax knew they had intruders. "Contact!" shouted a voice from behind. Vorlax guards poured into the corridor, weapons ignited, energy crackling. The humans had no time for hesitation. Creed signaled. "Positions. Cover the prisoners. Move with me." The firefight was instantaneous. Pulse rifles discharged, energy bolts ricocheted, and humans moved with a fluid coordination the Vorlax did not anticipate. Each strike was precise. Each maneuver accounted for the station's treacherous geometry. The Vorlax were stronger, but the humans were faster, unpredictable. Amid the chaos, Creed caught a glimpse of a figure observing from a raised platform. Tall, imposing, exuding a presence that made the station itself seem to quiver. Exorcan. Creed's blood ran cold, not with fear, but with focus. The arch-strategist had underestimated humanity. That mistake would be his undoing. Creed! Exorcan's voice boomed through the station comms, resonant and mocking. So, the fragile ones arrive. Do you think your courage matters here? It does, Creed said, firing from the hip as he advanced. Because fragile doesn't mean harmless. The prisoners were moved toward the boarding pods, but another alarm triggered. Sunbreaker's energy core was reaching critical levels. They had minutes, maybe seconds, before the weapon could activate. Get them out now! Creed yelled. We'll deal with Exorcan later. The team split. Creed, Voss, and 2 elite crew members engaged in a deadly dance with Vorlax reinforcements. Energy beams cut through corridors, but humans exploited the alien environment, ducking, ricocheting off walls, using debris as cover. Every move was instinct, honed by decades of survival and training. Finally, the prisoners reached the pods. Dr. Ander turned, desperation in her eyes. Captain, the station will not stop us, Creed said firmly. Run! The pods launched, carrying the prisoners towards safety. Creed watched them ascend, then turned back into the corridors. Exorcan had descended, stepping forward with an arrogance only a Vorlax could muster. You are reckless, Exorcan said, claws clicking against the floor. You are fragile. You cannot defeat the inevitable. Creed met him squarely, every muscle coiled. Humans survive, he said. We adapt. We fight. And we never back down. Your weapon, your arrogance, will not win. The clash was brutal. Exorcan moved with the precision of a master, but Creed had something the Vorlax could never anticipate: unpredictability and tenacity. Every strike, every dodge was a message. Humanity would not be bowed. The battle raged, energy cutting through metal, sparks flying, walls scorched. Creed's team neutralized reinforcements while he engaged Exorcan directly. Each clash echoed like thunder through the station. And as the core of Sunbreaker began to flare, Creed realized the fight wasn't just for survival. It was for the galaxy. One misstep, and the weapon could ignite, annihilating worlds. The humans were not merely rescuing their own, they were defying annihilation itself. Creed ducked under a sweeping strike, rolling across scorched metal. Exorcan, this ends now, he shouted. The Vorlax hissed, blade clashing against Creed's improvised weapon. You will die before your species learns humility. Maybe, Creed said, eyes blazing. But not today. Not while humans still stand. He kicked, struck, and forced Exorcan back, the alien's arrogance faltering for the first time. Humanity's defiance was raw, unyielding, and shockingly effective. Get the prisoners to safety, Creed shouted to Voss. I'll hold him. As the team retreated, Creed faced Exorcan alone, the Sunbreaker pulsing ominously behind them. The countdown had begun, and the galaxy teetered on the edge of annihilation. But one thing was certain: the humans would not go quietly into the night. The station, the weapon, and Exorcan's hubris, they all had to be confronted. Humanity would not be intimidated. Humanity would rise. And Creed would lead them. The Valor's edge hung in orbit around the Sunbreaker station, the void alive with Vorlax ships converging like a swarm of predators. Red and gold flares reflected against the hull as the alien vessels formed an encircling net. The energy signatures of Sunbreaker pulsed faster now, a menacing heartbeat counting down to apocalypse. Captain, they're locking in the core's power matrix, Voss reported. At this rate, activation in 10 minutes. Creed's jaw tightened. 10 minutes was nothing in cosmic terms, but eternity when the fate of worlds hung in the balance. Prepare all pods for immediate launch, he ordered. We don't just fight, we strike at the heart. The crew moved with precision. Boarding pods armed with pulse disruptors and EMP charges detached, weaving through the Vorlax patrols. Each human aboard knew what was coming. They were about to take on a god killer. "Voss," Creed said, voice sharp. "Coordinates with the fleet. Keep them in sync. Timing is everything." "Aye, Captain," she said, eyes scanning displays. The boarding pods breached the outer hull of the Sunbreaker station. Within, corridors of alien steel spiraled toward the core, glowing with energy so intense it seared the retina. Vorlax guards were waiting, their weapons humming with lethal precision. "Move!" Creed shouted. His team surged forward, every step measured. The humans fought with ingenuity and instinct, turning the alien environment against its masters. Pulse rifles ricocheted energy beams off walls, collapsing corridors to block pursuers. Every strike carried the weight of a species refusing to bow. Ahead, Exorcan awaited. The arch-strategist's towering form radiated command and menace. "Creed," he boomed, claws tapping against the floor. "You cannot comprehend what you face. Humanity is ephemeral. Fragile. Insignificant." Creed squared his shoulders, gripping his weapon. "Fragile doesn't mean harmless." The clash began with the force of a storm. Energy blades clashed, sparks exploding against alien alloy walls. Creed moved unpredictably, ducking, striking, leveraging momentum and terrain in ways Exorcan could not anticipate. The Vorlax's skill was unmatched, but humans fought with something stronger: relentless courage, instinct, and unity. Behind them, the crew worked feverishly to plant disruptors on Sunbreaker's power conduits. Voss coordinated teams in a symphony of precision. Shields flared and energy bolts cut corridors, but human ingenuity kept them alive. "Almost there!" Voss shouted. "2 more conduits to overload!" Creed ducked under a sweeping strike and rolled, kicking Exorcan back. The alien snarled, advancing with lethal elegance. "You cannot stop inevitability!" "Maybe not," Creed said, eyes blazing. "But I can make you regret underestimating humanity." With a calculated charge, Creed landed a disabling strike, forcing Exorcan into retreat. Sparks flew as energy conduits groaned and shifted. The countdown for Sunbreaker's activation loomed closer, yet humans moved faster, striking the final points with synchronized precision. Outside, the Terran Union fleet warped in, appearing in perfect coordination. Hundreds of ships, humans and allies, emerged from the expanse, their engines blazing. Vorlax forces scrambled, caught off guard. The sudden arrival was chaotic brilliance, humans exploiting strategy, numbers, and surprise. Creed knew this was the turning point. Sunbreaker could not complete its activation. He sprinted toward the main core, dodging falling debris and clashing with Exorcan one last time. "You cannot win, Creed!" Exorcan shouted, hurling energy strikes that scorched the walls. "We already have," Creed replied, driving the Vorlax back and planting the final disruptor on the power core. Sparks and energy arcs erupted as Sunbreaker shuddered. Alarms screamed, the station vibrating violently. Voss's voice rang in his calm. "Core destabilizing. Evacuate immediately!" Creed kicked Exorcan back with one final surge of force. The arch-strategist stumbled, stunned by the human ferocity he had so misjudged. Creed grabbed a handhold as the corridors twisted under the destabilizing power. Sunbreaker's core flared violently, exploding into a cascade of light that shattered the station's integrity. The boarding pods, carrying freed prisoners, blasted out of the station as it began to collapse. Energy arcs and metal debris tore through the void. Vorlax ships tried to intercept, but the human fleet engaged them in coordinated fury, overwhelming them with tactical precision and relentless determination. Creed sprinted through collapsing corridors, dodging molten plasma streams and falling debris. Exorcan recovered, lunging with fury. The two clashed mid-haul, sparks flying from weapon to weapon. Creed's strike finally knocked Exorcan into the flaring core chamber. The alien screamed, faltering as the station's destruction consumed him. "Humanity doesn't run," Creed said, voice echoing, as the station began to implode. "We rise." The corridors collapsed behind him. Crews pulled survivors into escape pods. Outside, the fleet provided cover, exchanging fire with pursuing Vorlax ships. Every maneuver, every shot, reinforced the human reputation, unpredictable, fierce, and unstoppable. Minutes later, the remnants of Sunbreaker erupted in a spectacular cascade of stellar energy. The explosion lit the void like a second sun, obliterating the station and scattering the Vorlax fleet. Silence followed, broken only by the hum of human ships regrouping. "Status report," Creed said, voice calm but heavy with exhaustion. "All prisoners accounted for," Boss replied. "Sunbreaker destroyed. Vorlax forces retreating. Planetary targets safe." Creed allowed himself a breath. The galaxy had witnessed humanity at its finest, clever, resilient, unbowed. A message from the High Command broadcast across all human channels. "Never threaten Earth again." The words echoed not as a threat, but as a promise. Humanity had risen from the brink, demonstrating courage, ingenuity, and an unshakable will to survive. Creed watched the sunrise over Earth through the command viewport of the Valor's Edge, feeling a rare moment of calm. Humanity had proven itself, not fragile, not insignificant, but unstoppable when united, creative, and defiant. "We did it," Voss said, stepping beside him. Creed's eyes remained on the horizon. "No," he said, voice steady. "We survived. But humanity will always rise. And anyone who underestimates us will learn that lesson the hard way." The void was quiet now. Stars glimmered. And somewhere, in the deep darkness of the expanse, the memory of Sunbreaker's destruction would linger, a warning to all who dared threaten the Terran Union. Humanity had won. Not by mercy, not by chance, but by the relentless spirit that defined them. And the galaxy would never forget.